militia targets populated areas in Taz governorate. Houthi militia continue to escalate in the Dalah front. Houthis prevent Yemeni women from domestic and international travel. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Rushan Fouad. The Houthi militia committed a new murder against the children west of Taz. Local sources reported that 3 children were injured while returning from school, which led to the amputation of their legs while the 3rd was wounded. The injured, whose condition was described as critical, were taken to hospital for treatment.
The kids were returning back from school and the neighborhood is dense with residents. And we were surprised by a Houthi shelling which resulted in the injury of 3 children with amputation, as you can see. And these poor children have nothing to do with the war. And this war is against childhood and the whole humanity.
Houthi militia continues to escalate on different fronts. The rebels have targeted residential areas and caused civilian casualties to them. This report has more details.
The 2 women, Widad and Wafa al-Faqih, are still receiving treatment at the field hospital in Al-Dada after the first was hit by a Houthi sniper's bullet, which is next to her house in Salim area northwest of Qataba, while the second was injured due to the explosion of a Houthi projectile during the explosion of firewood next to her house in Hajar area in Al-Dada.
She received a bullet by a Houthi sniper while she was near home. She was seriously injured. Thankfully, she has survived death. This woman was hit by a shelling which caused her injuries in her 2 arms. And now she's been transferred to the field hospital.
Many victims fall and are seriously wounded in the north and west of Al-Dada, near or inside their homes and farms, or during their movement to other areas, as a result of the repeated and deliberate shelling and sniping in those areas with various Houthi weapons, or as a result of planting mines and explosives, most of which are victims of women and IEDs.
We here receive a lot of cases, most of them who've been exposed to Houthi shelling, and most of them are serious cases. These crimes should never be tolerated.
For several years, the Houthi militia has been committing crimes and violations against civilians and their property in north and west of Al-Dada. Some believe that the decision to classify the Houthi militia as a terrorist group was too late, and that great effort should be made to uncover the Houthi terrorist group.
The United Nations has urged a brokered deal that allows the resumption of Ukraine's grain exports through the Black Sea. This came to contribute to food security around the world and ease the suffering that the cost of living crisis is causing for people. The UN called for the full implementation of an agreement to ensure that grain and fertilizers from Russia reach world markets. 2 soldiers were killed and another was wounded as a result of artillery shelling launched by the Houthi militia in Lahj governorate. The military media said that the Houthi militia bombed military sites on the same front northwest of Lahj. They added that the Houthi bombing resulted in the death of 2 soldiers and the injury of a 3rd. Houthis black markets have spread throughout Sana'a. Recently, the rebels started a black market to sell identity cards, while they refrained giving them to the citizens through the concerned public authorities. This report has more details.
The Houthi militia has turned the civil status and civil registry department into a black market to blackmail citizens who wish to obtain personal identification cards. The leadership of the Houthi militia and the civil status deliberately hides the electronic personal identity cards under the pretext that they have run out of cards to sell them in the black market through its members who have turned it into brokers, with the aim of exploiting citizens financially for the purpose of earning. Despite the printed announcement, which the Houthi militia hung on boards called Services Guide, they set the fees for the procedures for obtaining the personal card at 3,500 riyals, but in fact, It is many times more than what is announced in the fees, whether it was to extract the temporary questionnaire identity document or the approved electronic personal identity card. Sources working in the Civil Status Department and the Civil Registry confirmed that the amount of obtaining an electronic personal identity card through militia members and employee brokers is more than 40,000 riyals, and the amount of obtaining a questionnaire document as a temporary personal identity is more than 15,000 riyals, and takes that period of obtaining it is days, if not 2 weeks as a minimum. They pointed out that the leadership of the Houthi militia at the headquarters of the Civil Status and Civil Registry Authority received sums of money from the managers of its branches as a result of reviving the black market of recurring personal cards from time to time.
The Houthi militia stopped a medical camp to remove glaucoma in Amran Governorate. Local sources said that the medical camp was launched on Saturday, and the militia stopped it despite the completion of coordination of all necessary measures to implement the camp. The sources pointed out that the Houthi militia is in the health sector for the citizens for remaining in a circle of silence until the start of the camp. The Houthi militia prevented an academic female from leaving Sana'a to represent Yemen in a scientific conference abroad. She said that the Houthi militia returned her from one of the checkpoints while she was on her way to Aden, under the pretext of there is no mahram. And she explained in a post on her Facebook account that the academy had received an invitation to participate in a scientific conference outside Yemen. Houthis continue to impose extra suppressive measures against women. In a latest move, the rebels have issued a new regulation that prevents women from traveling within the country or outside but with a companion or what is known locally as mahram. This report has more details.
Iran-backed Houthis continue to impose more suppressive measures against Yemeni women, to banning women from traveling inside and outside Yemen without a mahram or male companion accompanying them. In a recent move, they check public transport buses and taxis, searching for women without male companions, and stop women and preventing them from traveling and ask them to return back. Besides, Houthi authority directed its members at Sana'a airport to prevent any women from traveling unless accompanied by a male relative. They cancelled previous circulars that had been in force for more than a year, which stipulated that women would be allowed to travel if they brought prescriptive consent from their guardians. The Houthi strict rule has embedded the distribution of aid to needy Yemenis and other humanitarian operations inside the Houthi-controlled areas. Such restrictions will affect the relief work and make it difficult for female workers to reach displaced people and those in need of assistance, and not taking in consideration that some of them are either widowed or their male relatives are distant or perhaps unable to accompany them for medical or financial reasons. According to a Yemeni female activist, the Iran-backed Houthi militia increases the suffering of women, especially with regard of opportunities to improve livelihoods and job opportunities in the public and private sectors, adding that the Houthis punished bus and taxi drivers in Sana'a for ferrying unescorted women. Also, Yemeni writers and intellectuals announced their solidarity with women, calling for the co-authority to stop obstructing women's travel rights. Houthi violations against Yemeni women have transcended all time and place, and nothing can bring about an end to such violations but the departure of the Houthi co.
Houthis flood Sana'a markets with expired food items to boost up their own benefits.
نزحنا من نزحة وانهم فوقنا هدموا بيوتنا. نزحت أنا وأنا بنتي بنت 7 أشهر اللي على زوجنا. بعدها تمنا من نزح في نزوح. وقبل الفريق معرض لنا. صيحنا لزوجي وصار وداه هنا. صار مخيم. وقبل الفريق اللي هنا وأنا وجيعي في الخيمة. وعانني البنات ودني العلاج. ساعدني لما دخلني الشركة. طلع علاج فيتامينات. جاتنا الأمطار. دخلت السور وانا والده. دخلت السيل ما دهنت بالسيل له وتحتي وانا والده. ما قد الا يومين.
ولا عاد حتى قدرت اشيل عيالي ما بلاتي يا بنت الصغيره اللي ترضع شليتها واحنا والله نحن حالتنا حالها وما عاد الا شلونا من رفعونا لمكان عالي. ووصل اليوم جسنا لنا 3 أيام والله نحن في العرب وجاونا الفريق حقهم حق الاستجابه. والله ما قصروا قدموا لنا من كل شيء.
Welcome back. Sana'a markets have been flooded with expired food items. According to local sources, traders have started doing this in response of the Houthi looting and imposition of unlawful levies on them. This report gives more details.
Markets in Yemen's capital Sana'a and governorates under the control of the Houthis are overrun with expired food products. Authorities are continuously warning the public that enormous amounts of expired goods are being seized and destroyed from Yemeni markets and stores, and that those involved will be brought to justice. However, Houthis have recently begun confiscating expired products and reselling them to make large financial profits. Expired food items were previously sold on carts and sidewalks in militia-controlled governorates, or were used to produce food items fit for human consumption. Such products have recently been seen on supermarket shelves, despite Houthis constantly claiming that they have seized large amounts of them. According to sources, the rebel group blackmails merchants, seizes their goods even if they are not expired, and threatens to close their stores and hold them accountable. Apparently, Houthis are doing this to compensate for their losses. As a result of the Houthi militia's measures, several merchants are selling expired materials rather than destroying them. Furthermore, according to the Houthi media, the group's authorities controlled a company that stored expired food items before recycling them in private factories in the capital. In addition, the Houthi-controlled Ministry of Trade and Industry stated that 15 brands of expired and recycled goods are being sold in the local market. According to observers, expired materials are sold in poor neighborhoods where residents are unaware of the danger they pose to their health. Many expired items are also being distributed as aid, as part of relief programs provided by militias to improve their image. Finally, a source at the ministry admitted that expired food commodities are all over the markets, and that Houthis authorities allow merchants to sell expired items in return for turning a blind eye on selling in broad daylight.
The government is going to allocate $70 million to promote strong livelihoods in nature reserve areas in Socotra, Otma, and Hof. In a statement, the government confirmed the approval of the United Nations Global Environmental Facility for this project to protect nature places in Aden. This came in a partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. The Pave of Aden container port witnessed the arrival of a new ship on its first voyage. The arrival came to cover the local market's food and consumer requirements with a tonnage of 1,384 containers. The arrival of the ship belongs to the shipping line coincides with the development witnessed by the station in the high frequency of container handling. The war has seriously damaged the mental health of Yemenis. What makes things worse is the fact that the majority of Yemenis feel reluctant to consult a psychiatrist. In Aden, a community initiative was started to help those who suffer from the war traumas and provide them with psychological assistance. This report gives more details.
The war has negative consequences that deeply affect the lives of the Yemeni people. The conflict in Yemen has led to harsh psychological effects on citizens and also led to emotional disorders.
للأسف الشديد في قلة وعي كبيرة في هذا الجانب.
Unfortunately, there is lack of awareness, and people look at psychological problems as a crime, so they don't try to find a solution or seek help. But even the people that try to seek help and information, they do it secretly, which also causes an issue for the society.
It's difficult for Yemenis to go to a psychiatrist. Although 20% of Yemenis suffer from psychological disorders due to the war, the programs specialized in treating these people remain deficient and weak.
الحرب هي سبب رئيسي لكثير من الأمراض النفسية.
The war has resulted in many psychological problems for people. I think many of the Yemenis are mentally pressured from the war, and the solution is to support these people, especially women and children. There are some programs for the people that suffer psychological problems, but it doesn't fully offer what they need. 20% of the population suffer from social pressures.
The war affected the Yemeni people psychologically in a severe and direct manner, which means that the basic element in development and building of the homeland is almost broken, and it calls for intervention to psychologically rehabilitate them and restore the Yemeni people's productivity.
كنت أكسر وأحطم وضارب أولادي وأسمع الأصوات من كل مكان، يعني أتخيل هنا حقيقي.
كنت أشك في الناس كلهم وكنت ما أوثق بأحد. كنت أكره لما أخرج به الناس، كانوا أحسهم أعدائي. الامتناع عن استخدام لغات سيئة، تكبر بعض المنفعات. من 2012 كنت أحس باكتئاب وعزلة عن الناس وتوتر وخوف. مات علي المولود وأخوتي كانوا يعاندوني، بعدها حسيت بهذا الخوف والقلق كانت بداية المرض هكذا.
كنت أكسر وأحطم وضارب أولادي وأسمع الأصوات من كل مكان، يعني أتخيل هنا حقيقي. كنت أبكي وما عاد شتت بكاي إني ما عاد أسمع شيء، حتى إني طلقت بسبب هذا المشاكل. إن حتى أولادي ما فارقتهم بزوني إخوتي ونزلوني إلى محجة.
جزء من الأمراض الذهانية له علاقة بالأحداث الدائرة. غالبية الناس فقدت وظائفها، فقدت ناس بتحبها نتيجة الصراع والحروب والمشاكل الدائرة.
ما كان في علاج في حجة وكنت أضطر إلى صنعاء. كنت أروح هناك بس العلاج كان غالي، كان يشتي فلوس. تقريبا 8 سنة وأنا رايح جاي يعني.
بس أروح حالتي النفسية خطيرة، يعني بعد موت أبي الله يرحمه كمان في حجة كان قدي بدأت تيأس، والموت عندي دائما الصدق، يعني كنت دائما أتخيل الموت في بالي. لذلك كان أخي الكبير وداني إلى هنا عشان أبصر حياتي، قلت شوية وأبصر نشاطي اليومي عشان أفراد أسرتي.
خدمات الصحة النفسية الآن اللي بتقدم في المستشفى بشكل أساسي بتقدم خدمات الدعم النفسي، وبتقدم خدمات الرعاية الطبية النفسية للمرضى اللي بيجونا. بنقدم خدمات التثقيف النفسي، وأيضا بنقدم العلاج النفسي الجماعي. غالبية الناس بتعرف عن الخدمة من خلال حاجتين: من خلال التثقيف النفسي اللي بنجريه هنا داخل المستشفى، وأيضا من خلال البيشن أو المرضى اللي بيجونا هم اللي بيكونوا الممثلين لنا هنا في المجتمع.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. Houthi militia targets populated areas in Tai's government raid. Houthis continue to escalate in the Doda front. Houthi militia prevent Yemeni women from domestic and international travel. This is the end of the news. See you soon.